Hello everybody, my name is Teflon and welcome to episode 17. You might see there's a little bit of an overlay at the top and on the left of the screen. That's because I'm streaming this live. That's because we're working on this episode live. This is episode 17 and now we get to investigate the freaking murder of, what is it, Duhur? It's kind of ridiculous here. Now. Let's start at the beginning again, shall we? Say, come here back, tenderling, she croons, as if singing to a tasty child. Imbitu says, I can ask you about the murders in the underbelly. Her small eyes glow with humor, but flicker first to the leader of the Dendra Ohur. He nods. Ask your questions, tenderling, she says, stroking the back of her hand with her claws. Even this gentle motion draws blood. What do you know about the murders? Oh, tenderling, she chuckles, delighted. You used the wrong word over and over. There is no murder, there is no body. This was... She used the word you do not recognize, a gruesome combination of clicking teeth and growling consonants. And so, nothing was lost.
Making a note.
We do not know who is responsible, she says, scratching her cheek. Blood spills unheeded from the wound. Kiatava and Mallet sneak about during the night. They swallow their secrets. They are Dendra Ohur to serve their power and hunger. Not to honor the dead, not for, she used the word again, snapping her jagged teeth with great satisfaction. They are not capable of such kindness. What is the word you used to describe murder, the clicking, growling word? Word? She says, blinking. Oh yes, your language does not have the word, so we use our own. Clicks her teeth together thoughtfully, then answers. We know of murder, of course. Believe a body to rot is to say that the soul inside is not worth keeping. This we punish. The decision is not for anyone to make. The word we speak of is the opposite. My world, when one of us dies or is killed, we eat their flesh and take their souls into our body. We feel the light of them reach our corners. He raises a claw, smiling. They becomes we. You understand? I don't see any difference between that and murder. Oh, she says, her lumpy face falling. There is. This murder is no murder. She pronounces the word with obvious scorn. We know the details. A skinned hand in blood. Circles on the wall, she says, making a sking noise. Tenderling play with their food. Perhaps your murderer is young. They do not know they should finish the hands, strip the memories of hard work from the tendons, crunch the bones, slurp the blood from the floor. Shakes her head fondly. Tenderlings. So basically she's describing someone who was sloppy in doing their job of cleaning up. That's kind of cruel. You don't think Tava or Mallet killed any of the victims? I mean, that guy's called Mallet. We never said that, she says, playfully biting her tongue. They kill, but they do not honor. They do not understand who they are. Do you know about a group called the Children of the Endless Gate? We know it, she says, frowning, but we are not sure how. She drums her claws against her chin, drawing pinpricks of blood. Yes, bloody circles left on the sides of the junkyard dwellings outside the bloom, in shadows. Beware the Endless Gates, little woman, people of that community say. It still makes us love. Sweetness. Where did you see the bloody circles again? In the junkyard outside the bloom. But not yesterday, not last year, a time ago. And then the circles disappeared no more. Perhaps the ones who drew them moved on. I'm done asking about the murders. Farewell. Kiatava? This woman watches you, measuring every step, every twitch of your hands, and yet there is no fear in her. Iron lines her spine and presses her mouth into a thin, even line. You take a wrong turn, she says, studying the nails on the right hand. Don't see many people down here for the light of the company. She steals a cautious glance at the hulking cultist nearby, then returns the gaze to you. You want something? Imbuto says I'm gonna ask you about the murders in the underbelly. Yeah, she says, looking at the old man. He nods. Good. After say I'm not surprised the murder's trail led you in here. What do you want to know? Do you have any idea who the murderer is?
Making a note.
No, she says, resting her hands on her hips. But I've seen what they left behind on Folsom Boy. A mess. Blood on the walls and floor. No body. She flicks a strand of hair out her eyes. That's the kind of death you see when someone's sending a warning or holding a grudge. I saw it all the time before I came here. Why do you think someone killed Folsom Protege? Why? She said, something approaching again. Why? This is someone Folsom cared about. He has a lot of enemies. Why do you think? Do you know anything about the Endless Gate? No, she says. Never heard of them. Are you sure you've never heard of the Children of the Endless Gate before? She shakes her head, looking confused. I want to know your opinions on the other Dendro Uhur. Ha! Alright, don't expect me to hold back. What are your opinions on Imbuto? He's lived too long, she says. Maybe the Dendro Uhur were something once, but he's just looking for his next meal now, and the rest of them are following his example. How do you feel about Malad? He likes hurting people. More than that, he's proud of it. She runs an angry hand through her hair, lowers her voice. I'm not sure, but I think he's been killing rivals from his whole life and eating them. What do you think of Say? She used to be worse than she is. If you haven't talked to her yet, you'll see what I mean. She glances at the mutant uneasily. Maybe all these corpses she's eating on her own are bringing suckers into her head. Civilizing her, maybe. Shakes her head. That means she's a predator who knows the mind of her prey. Okay, other questions? I'm done asking about the murder. How long have you been a Dendro Uhur? Long enough, he said. Thought I'd found a place I belonged. Guess I was wrong. All silent. Deception. The lips shaped the word again. Why don't you feel like you belong to the Dendro Uhur? She exhales, crushing her eyelids shut. Never mind. Shouldn't have said anything. What's bothering you? Nothing, no offense, but I don't know you at all. Leave me alone, alright? Alright. Try again. Next one. Mallet. The burly man sneers at you, flexing massive scarred hands that could easily encircle your throat. His tongue probes his stained, sharp teeth, and a short, blood-stained club swings from a hook at his waist. So what are you doing down here, shill meat? Playing in the dark? Chuckles long and low. You've been part of the Dendro Uhur for long? No, not long. Tell me about the Dendro Uhur. Don't have to tell you nothing. You ain't one of us. You ain't nobody. He jerks his chin at Imbuto. You want a tour? Talk to him. I'm busy. Imbuto gave me permission to ask you about the murders. Is that right? Says, glancing at Imbuto. The leader of the Dendro Uhur gives him a small nod. Yeah, alright, he says. Ask a question. For all the good it will do. Did you know Weedle? Heh. Yeah, I know him. Glad to hear he's dead. Chuckles. He was smart and knew it. Always looking down on the rest of us. Always ordering people around with Folsom looking on, smiling. Snorts. But if you're thinking I chopped him, I didn't. I was getting drunk in a corner of the manufactory. He grins nastily. Wondering what all the screaming was about.
I'll remember that.
You know who you should ask? He says, leaning in. Kiawatawa. I saw her hunched over some corpse in an alley all by herself. Doesn't matter what the meat is. People who eat on their own always got something to hide. Nods at the other cultist. And Say is one to watch too. She ain't like you or me. She's a mutant and not one of the nicer ones. I want to talk to you about your eating habits. Is that right? He says, scratching one of his sharp teeth. Not much of a mystery there. I eat people, I like it. He shrugs. If that doesn't answer your question, go on and ask. Yatava says you have been killing people instead of waiting for them to die.
Making a note.
People? He said that. He shoots a dark look at Kiyatava. Yeah, alright, but no. People, he says, stretching his thick neck. It was just the one. Someone, yeah, I ain't gonna give you a name, who stole something from me once. And the fact that you ain't here asking about him means no one misses him. Sounds like a man with a lot of grudges. You sure you didn't decide to settle some with Folsom? You must think I'm an idiot. Sometimes grudges pay off, right? Make you feel good right in your gut. He slaps his belly. But no one ever gets the better of Folsom. Even if I killed every one of his prodigies. And I'm not saying I killed even one. The man would have me skinned and hung before I dropped my club. Are you sure you haven't killed anyone else since you joined the Dendro Horde? Yeah, I'm sure, he says. His usual smile, however, is missing. Doesn't eating human flesh bother you? Bother? Bother ain't the right word. He rubs the back of his neck. You think you're gonna mind the taste, but you don't. The part I don't like is that memories from the person you eat up end up in your head, and you can't make him shut up. The four of us ate this skull arc, not a fancy one, but one with old ropes. Yatava was talking about some words she kept hearing after. Well, I didn't get a word. I saw a memory of his when I was picking him out of my teeth. He was lying in bed, dying maybe, waiting for his son to come see, and his eyes kept closing, and his son never came. Shakes his head like a beast trying to dislodge a biting insect. Not that I saw anyway, and that's just from one meal. His eye perception. His eyes flicker away from you. In a brief moment, you see that the fear in his eyes, the helplessness. Why do you eat corpses if it troubles you so much? It doesn't trouble me, he growls, but his voice is shaking. It just ain't easy. But it'll get better. Look at Imbitu. He's been doing this a long time. He glances at Imbitu. The elderly hand of the Dendro who waves and gives you a huge rotten grin. Ask him again. I want to ask you about something else. Have you ever heard about something called the Endless Gate? No. Strange name though. If it don't end, it ain't much of a gate, is it? More of a hallway. Tell me what you think about the other members of your family. Family, he repeats. Heh, good one. Just my brother of this bunch, and he tried to cut my throat when I was 5. Licks his tongue. Go on and ask your questions. What are your opinions about Imbitu? He's alright. Got half the city scared of him, and the other half bringing him meat. Not bad for an old man who smiles at everyone and never raises his voice. What do you think of Xay? Xay is a monster, says, shaking his head. Less than human and more than a beast. I've seen her take corpses face off with a swipe of those claws and tuck it into her mouth like pen bread. Didn't stop until the body was gone down to the last drop of blood. He bites his upper lip, drawing ribbons of blood. Talk to Xay if you want. Figure her out. Me? I keep my distance. Hello, how do you feel about Kiyatava? He opens his mouth to respond. Closes it. Thank you. Something is wrong with her, he says finally. And I ain't stupid. I know how that sounds coming from me. Just something's broken in her and it's always getting worse. Perception, you feel eyes on you. You glance around in time to see Kiyatava look away. I have other questions. Can you tell me about the other Dendra? Oh, I had that. So... I'm finished talking about the murder. What sort of work did you do before? I broke stuff, he says, his eyes gleaming with dull humor. Not much for conversation, are you? Why, I see it. I don't know you. You ain't done anything for me and we got nothing to talk about. So, not now, anyway. He crosses his arms. So why should we? We will open up if we have something to talk about. Oh yeah, you won't be able to shut me up. Can't tell me anything about the Dendrohur? Nothing. Alright. Something is wrong with Kiyatawa. I have more questions. Well, it says you caught you eating a corpse on your own. Yeah, maybe Mallet should mind his business, she says, shooting an angry look at the hulking cultist. Sure, it's true. I don't like being down here more than I have to, right? Barely even sleep anymore. Keep getting the feeling that they're waiting for me to die, wondering what I'll taste like.
Making a note.
Not too long ago, I found a corpse in the Illinois Circus Minor, and I didn't see why I should share with this lot. She jerks her fingers around her hair. That's it. No secret, no scandal. And since Mallet thinks he can share my hunting with strangers, maybe you should ask him how many corpses he's found on his own, or if they were actually dead before when we found them.
Without doubt.
In the end, it was the leader. I'm pretty sure. That's gonna be it. I have more questions about the murder. Doesn't look much of a mutant, doesn't she? I don't know. Let's read the journal. Maybe we'll get on So okay. I've questioned all the cultists at the Dendrohur Chapel. I can return to Folsom at any time to tell him who I think committed the murders. I have reason to believe that the murderer was a member of the Dendrohur cult. I should go to the cult's chapel in the underbelly and question all the people I can find. Any one of them could be the killer. I have questions to say. A cannibal mutant with claws and sharp teeth. She doesn't seem to recognize that a murder took place because no corpse was left behind. However, she cautioned me not to trust Kiyatawa and Mallet, both of whom have been sneaking around at night and keeping secrets from the other cultists. I've questioned Kiyatawa. She claims that she doesn't know who the killer is, but she's seen this kind of murder before. Suggests that the killer was sending a warning or holding a grudge. I've questioned Mullen. He claims that he was getting drunk in a corner of the manufactory when Weedle was killed. However, he did admit that he knew Weedle, and it sounds as if the pair didn't like each other much. Mullen also warned me not to trust Kiyatawa or Xie. They apparently saw Kiyatawa eating a corpse in an alley all by herself, which suggests to him that she has something to hide. He describes Xie as particularly a nasty sort of mutant who might also be hiding something. Mallet admitted to killing a man who stole something from him and then eating the man's corpse, but he claims he only did it once. Yatawa admitted to finding a corpse in the city, but she didn't want to share it with the other Dendra, so she ate it alone. Then she suggested that I ask Mallet how many corpses he has found on his own. She implied that he might kill some of them himself. Yatawa seemed like she was hiding something else about her visit to Circus Minor. I should speak with the merchants there and see if any of them saw what she was doing. The Dendra cultists won't talk about the murders until the leader in Butu grants them permission. Speak to him. No. Okay, so merchants and Circus Minor and
I admire your ruthlessness, Calistige, though not necessarily your methods.
And I feel much the same about you, dear. So, are we allies then?
so talk to people here. Maybe someone here will know something. Okay. So this is Government Square. Need to get down there.
All right.
That's an interesting well.
It is done.
Go.
A jumble of boulders and debris lies at the foot of the surrounding cliffside. The broken remains of the ancient devices lie amongst the fallen stone, while off to the side a metallic canister sticks out of the top of the pile. Examine the canister. Leaning over, you notice that the container is hollow, with an opening at the top providing full access to the interior. A quick glance reveals that it's empty. While the most of the canister is relatively intact, a small part of its exterior wall has been pried open, exposing delicate mechanisms. Let's scavenge what we can find from the canister. And that failed. Failure. Perception. You attempt to get more of the device interior via the panel, but just as the panel comes free, several of the components fall out and disintegrate before your eyes. Nothing much of value remains after that. You recover a few interesting components and a decent amount of shins. Examine the rocks. You notice a slight gleam at the line hits some of the rocks at just the right angle. You lean closer, tiny mechanical devices are embedded in the rock. Quick search of the rest of the pile reveals that only a small percentage of the rocks are more than they appear. Smash the rock stones. Go up to 60. Huh. Make that happen. Success perception. You gather up all the stones you can find with machinery close to the surface and set to work. Soon you have a tidy pile of components that should serve as shins.
All right.
This machine towers above you like a dagger driven into the ground by a giant. It seems much older than the surrounding buildings. Your hands itch to touch the array of dark panels scattered around the machine, as though they have touched them before. An Amensis. Try to remember why this machine feels so similar. And failed. Your hands slip over the cobbled together components and greasy cables. The buttons worn by frequent use. It is a large accomplishment, this machine. Clumsy, but deft. Amateurish, but masterful. Only a brilliant mind could have melded so many disparate parts into a functional device. Unfamiliar memories whisper to you. This device was used, though you don't know how, to generate a field and unmoored everything within from time itself. Your fingers scrape through a rough... Yeah. Leave the generator alone. I don't have much intellect left.
In this world,
But let's talk to some merchants. Reginto. Have you seen any Dendra Uhur in the market lately? Don't think so. You don't come prowling around here much. Thanks for a moment. You might try down by the grassy stair. They get a little more traffic than we do. Grassy stair?
Of course.
Have you seen any Dendra Uhur woman in the market lately? She says, some mandibles click. No. Near the market? Yes. I was closing up shop and only noticed her because she was staggering a little, talking to herself. Do you remember what the Dendra Uhur woman you saw was saying?
Making a note.
Something about circles, Prata says, clicking her mandibles. That's it. He kept talking about hollow circle, a red hollow circle. Yes, I didn't know that Dendra Uhur got drunk.
I'll handle it.
So, if the sculptor, this portly man's cracked and bleeding hands are always moving, picking fretfully at his thick lips, running through his thinning air, a molding aimless shapes in the air. His clothes are marked with paint, dust-dried blood, and clay. His eyes brim with frustrated tears as he studies the strangely familiar sculptures arrayed about him. Soul like silvers of ice. He mutters, fingertips long, shriveled, sharp, screams trapped in flesh. She holds him in place. She's killing him. She's not looking at her. Why? Why isn't he? Right? No. Claws absently at his sparse beard. What am I not seeing? What am I missing? Potential customer? What? No, you're not, he says, effortlessly drawing you into his self-directed tirade. No one wants these. They're honest, but ugly. Death pulled from that stone. He quaffs a cloud of dust. And I would sell it to anyone in any case, not even for a tuft of bread. None of them are worth buying. None of them are right. I'm Sophie, stone carver, sculptor, divine painter of living eyes, and in this challenge, my greatest work, my talent has finally abandoned me. He sweeps a scornful hand at the sculptures. Behold my art, wanderer, witness these dull stumps, these crude replicas of sublime being. What is it you think I've made? Try to recall why the sculptures look so similar. Oops. Success. You stare at the sculptures. Your memories flow into its sweeping curves, teasing you with what you've seen in your short life and beyond. Yes, this towering thing is the true form of the creature that pursues you. Sophie has sculptured sorrow. You don't realize that you've spoken aloud until you hear Sophie's gasp and see the tears in his eyes. Yes, sorrow, or even grief. It is present in the work. I feel it. Where? I cannot pull it from the stone. I saw this creature on a cold night not long ago. Smoking coronas of blackened light drew me into my window. Sophie stands shaping the scene with his palms. And there, on the street below, was she, gripping a man in her talons before my very eyes. She ripped his essence from him, leaving him in a steaming husk. He drops his hand. What do you care? You don't grasp the importance of a cult capturing such an object. I've seen aspects of her. Maybe I can help you capture the details. Sophie stares at you, dumbfounded. Think I'm trying to sculpt the killer? He says, and then he immediately corrects himself. Of course I've succeeded, in fact. She's beauty and vengeance incarnate. What artist worth his metal couldn't capture such a being? Sophie clucks his tongue. She doesn't need to be remembered. Would anyone forget such a lethal creature? No. The source of my ruin is this damnable man. Sophie points a trembling finger at the faithless human cradled in the statue's talons, a charred, oddly familiar pattern etched in the stone head. He stared eternity in the face and did not blink, but he will be forgotten unless I capture him here. And I cannot do that unless I know what drove him. Sophie swallows. The moment he fell, I ran for the street, but the Dendro Uhura claimed his body and took it away, probably to the foul chapel in the underbelly. Now, I'll never know who he was. Tell me about the Dendro Uhura. They are a cult and a curse. They would have you believe they exist to preserve the great works of humanity, celebrate life. You may even believe them until you smell their breath. The truth is that they squat in their underbelly chapel, eating corpses and claiming it gives them power. Is there anything else you can remember about the creature that killed your subject? What a surprise, Sophie says with a scornful sigh. Yes, let us ignore the incandescent flare of the stranger's brief life and focus on this murderer. So much more glamorous. He grips his sparse hair as if it's going to fall out and glares at you. That's what you want, isn't it? It's what everyone wants. Creature is Creature is hunting me too. I need to learn everything I can about it. Read a book then. Pester Scholar with your questions, for all the good it will do. And when the beast claims you as well, spare a prayer for the artist who will drive himself into a grave trying to capture your final moment.
I'll remember
Look into this when I have time. The Sorrow's Prey. Interesting. What else do we have? We have a slaver. I'm not quite sure if I did get what I need. Kata, a merchant in Circus Minor, told me that she saw Kiavata staggering around the area, muttering about hollow red circles. They sound very similar to the symbols Numenera has been living on the water in the underbelly. I should talk to her again. Yeah, certainly.
There, in the shadows.
The possibility to get there. Down to the valley. This city is pretty big, and if you read everything out loud, it's gonna take a while. Wow. Whew. I need to continue questioning. But before I do that, I need to talk to them again. Confront Kiatawa with our findings, and then hopefully she'll either say yes, that's I did it, or I might just suspect her for something she didn't do.
One moment, and it's done.
No question. Imagine in Circus Minor said they spotted you staggering out and talking about hollow circles. Is that right? He said, scratching the back of her neck. Doesn't sound familiar, but maybe I was drunk.
Yes.
Maybe she was drunk. Something is not right. Something doesn't add up. And we need to find out next time. Hopefully, we'll get to the bottom of this strange murder. Until then, have a good night.